meeting to order and ask for a roll call.
Lunier. Here. Hilliard. Here. Leach.
Here.
Menold.
Here.
Newman. Parrott. Here. We have a quorum.
If you join me in Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There are no public hearing tonight. Is there any presentations? All right, well, I'm going to get to that. But no public hearings and no presentations or special reports. But we do have public comments, so you're welcome to join us.
My name is Randy Jansen. I'm an employee of Truck Centers Incorporated here in Morton. And I'm the vocational truck sales person over there. Been there 15 years. This is the third time I've bid on ambulance chassis for the city of Morton. I was contacted by Andrew Foster in Sterling. They're supplying the bid to you for the completed ambulance. And I told Andrew when I sent the bid in that he told me it would be like 2 years maybe before it was built. I told him that we would need to be paid for this chassis, and I have an email here that stated when I sent it to him that we would need to be paid when it got to Morton, who's the company that builds the ambulance, and before it goes to Foster Coach. And the reason is because with today's interest rate, our floor plan on a chassis is $18 a day. And so if you have that out there for 2 years, it's $10,000. And in order to be competitive, then when I put that $10,000 on top of the ambulance bid price, I gave him the opportunity to two ways, either pay me up front. And so then I tried calling him a couple days ago, or late last week, and he didn't return my call, but I got a call from him at 5:15 tonight, and he told me that Foster's will not pay for that chassis until it's completed. But he said, you can go ahead and talk to the village and see if they want to pay for that chassis when it gets to Morton. So I guess what I'm saying is in your bid spec that you sent out, it did say that there was option for payment on page 2, partial payment upon chassis delivery. And so that's why I bid it the way I did. And I told Andrew that's the way I wanted to do it. And he didn't put that in his bid proposal, because I printed this proposal out earlier today and saw it wasn't in there, and that's when I started really checking into it. So we appreciate the opportunity to do business with you. We hope that we can work something out, but that bid price is...
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Okay, so on the quote that we got from Foster Coach, you're talking about the 2024 Freightliner?
Yes.
Okay, so the price that's listed on here, at what point in time and when it's delivered, can we pay for it?
Yes, that would be like probably February, because the other thing that I told Andrew is it shouldn't be 2 years for you people if he gets the chassis from me, because I have an open build slot in the fourth quarter of this year that I held open for you guys, and so that we could get this thing built. It'll probably be built in December or January, and then it would go to, so that's why I'm saying probably February delivery to the Morton.
I just want to make sure that I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if that's why I told if he'd have said in the beginning that there was no way we were going to get paid for 2 years, I would have made my bid about $10,000 higher.
Okay.
So, Truck Centers likes Morton. We appreciate everything you guys do for us, the police and the fire department. And when your ambulance chassis come in, we get them through our shop as quick because we know that they're something you need to have on the road all the time or have access to them. So we put them in front of the line and get them through the shop and back to you as soon as we can. And I just wanted to bring that up. whether you want to pull that bid for tonight and talk with Foster Coach about it, or if you want to just, you can go ahead and agree to pay.
We'll discuss it, we'll figure something out.
Okay. All right,
Yep.
Thank you for the notification,
thank you very much.
Thanks, Randy.
and you're welcome to stay and watch what we do. Anyone else with public comments?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Leanne Brown with the Morton Chamber of Commerce and Morton Economic Development Council. We are about a month out of festival being set up and kick off our 57th Morton Pumpkin Festival. Just exciting. You can see the Libby's plant is now up in action. So festival pumpkin season is upon us. Exciting news, we just got a list from Libby's corporate today of another corporate team coming to festival to be here on site to experience and be a part of our opening ceremony again. We will also added relationship and cross promotion of the Libby's Pumpkin at Festival. We're going to be labeling all of the food items that are produced with the Libby's Pumpkin so we can make sure that story and brand is carried through as people are coming and getting their taste of the Pumpkin Festival. They know what products are being made with the Libby's Pumpkin. If people want to get excited about festival, our online pumpkin store is open for any online pickup orders. We do still need volunteers, so there's a volunteer tab on the Morton Pumpkin Festival website, or reach out to our office if you're interested in volunteering. And of course, all the events and competitions are open for registrations. A few other items to note. I sent an invite this Friday. Our Morton Walmart store will be celebrating their future store expansion and remodel project. So they'll be on site there celebrating with their team, and then allowing some of you that have been invited to tour the expanded space that will house the logistics for their online orders. We have several other ribbon cuttings coming up, so and Mayor and trustees and team, if you're interested and available, we'll send those your way. Please join us. And another tool that continues to be very helpful for businesses, current, future entrepreneurs, those with an idea on a napkin, is our Smart Start Morton. It's a business journey platform, and we're hosting monthly workshops, but it's continuing to help build sustainable, strong businesses and increase the entrepreneur ecosystem. So just want to put that reminder out there, Smart Start Morton. If you see information about that, that's what it is, business journey platform and monthly workshops to help grow our businesses. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. I have nothing tonight. Village clerk,
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
village administrator,
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
chief of police.
I have one item tonight, Your Honor. Request approval to transfer $4,403.36 from the tourism tax fund back into the general fund to pay for the firework expenses.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any comments? Call the roll.
Blunier?
Yes.
Hilliard?
Yes.
Leach?
Yes.
Mennel?
Yes.
Parrot? Yes. Motion carries.
I did see it took about 93 hours of police efforts to pull that off.
Takes about everybody we got.
Okay. And I missed the consent agenda, which consists of the approval of the minutes, the regular board meeting of July 17th, 2023, and the approval of the bids. If we could have a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any comments? Call the roll.
Parrot?
Yes.
Mennel?
Yes.
Leach?
Yes.
Hilliard?
Yes.
Blunier?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We'll get back in order now. Corporation Counsel,
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Director of Fire Emergency.
Few items, sir. The first one is ordinance 2413, which makes adopts a idle pallet storage requirement. As you all know, in the past, we've had some experience with fires with pallets that are being stored outside, and they prevent some unique challenges to be able to put out, and especially plastic pallets, because they don't just go out very well. And in looking at it, our ordinances, the current ordinances or current code does not adequately address idle pallet storage, pallets that aren't being used. And so we kind of created this one. It is based off of factory mutual insurance idle pallet storage requirement. If you're familiar with factory mutual insurance, they insure big corporations or expansive corporations, which I believe in town would include Caterpillar. But as part of that, they have their own sets of requirements. And so this is similar to their existing requirement on idle pallet storage.
Thank you. If we could have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 24-13.
Second.
Any other comments?
Chief, I just have a question. We've got new business there on Detroit Parkway that deals with pallets. How does it affect them?
I don't know about that particular business, but it would apply to their storage of pallets if they're storing them. And the biggest, there's probably two goals that are the main focus of this ordinance. One is to create a separation between a structure and idle pallet storage, so that any fires that start don't move right into the building, and to keep the storage height and width within reason without creating some separation there, so that if a fire starts in one, it doesn't move throughout the entirety of the pallet storage.
Thank you.
I will make a note that I was out there when it was burning at Morton Industries, and it did not matter how much water you shot at the fire. If you didn't have water coming from the top on the plastic pallets, you couldn't keep it under control. And as soon as the water from the fire truck was not shooting down, the flames were taller than the building. So that was amazing, those plastic pallets. They're dangerous. So they need
So
to be,
who will enforce this? The Director of Public Works?
no, the fire
It would
chief,
be the fire department
Okay.
as part of our regular code enforcement.
fire inspector.
Hopefully new business, we're all involved and we can catch that as we're having discussions there.
Any comments before we vote? Call the roll.
Leach?
Yes.
Linier? Yes. Hilliard?
Yes.
Mennel?
Yes.
Barrett? Motion carries.
The next item is the ambulance purchase, which you've already heard mentioned tonight. We did go out to bid for the ambulance. We had 2 packets picked up, but only 1 bid was returned. And we have reviewed that bid, which this is it in its entirety. It's a significant document. And it does appear to meet our specifications. They're estimating that the delivery time would be 24 to 30 months. As you heard tonight, maybe there's some possibility of getting it sooner, but that is their position at this point. And the other thing that's noteworthy is that the quote was broken up into 2 different kind of sections. We asked them for any options that would save us money over the 2 years. So they quoted the ambulance purchase itself, and then separately quoted the required piece of equipment, which is the ambulance cot and lift that the patient goes on and that goes into the back. And I'm suggesting that we purchase that now at today's prices, and that saves us about $30,000 or so over the term of waiting for 2 years to purchase that at some later date. We would just go ahead and use that and put that into service now, and it would be here already when we got it. So the quotes were both included in your packets. I don't know if you want me to read those in detail, or
Why don't you go ahead and tell us the 2 numbers, and then
Sure.
somebody can make a motion?
Sure. 4 for the Horton Model 623 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 4 for the Horton Model ambulance. The total purchase price is $300,056,382. And for the purchase of the cot and lift is another $78,112.20. That gives us a total purchase price of $434,494.20.
Okay.
So I'm going to make a motion that we approve the purchase of the power lift first.
For the $78,112.20.
$78,112.20.
We have a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
So that is gonna go from 78,000 to 118,000 in 2 years?
That's the question. Obviously, everything has gone up over the last few years, and they're not sure, because they're forced to make a bid that's 2 years out. They really keep saying they don't know what that price will be in 2 years. So they included a price that's $30,000 more, because they were asked to give us a bid for that. And so they don't know, and we don't know. I doubt that they would give us money back, though, if it turned out to be less, so.
Their suggestion in 2 years, it might be $107,639 possible.
Is it my understanding this will go in one of the current ambulances that doesn't have a power lift?
Correct. Right.
And those are valuable as far as work comp issues. It prevents the paramedics from having to lift the cot from the ground and put it into it actually lifts it, moves it in.
Correct. We've been retrofitting our fleet currently, but weren't going to do this one, the oldest one initially, because we plan on getting all of that with the new ambulance. So this would just essentially be retrofitting the old ambulance now and then transferring that equipment to the new ambulance when we get it.
And is this ambulance going to be leaving the fleet? The
That's-
one that you're retrofitting?
Correct, yes, it would be it's a 2008, and it would leave.
So we're buying it early, but we get to make use of it. We'll actually get to use it for that.
Yeah, yes, correct. So it won't sit in a closet for 2 years.
Any other questions? Call the roll.
Blunier?
Yes.
Hilliard?
Yes.
Leach?
Yes.
Mennel?
Yes.
Barrett?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay.
And then I'd like to make a motion to purchase the Morton Model 623 for a total of $356,382, and that's the the new ambulance that would replace the oldest one we have now, when it gets here.
We have a second.
Second.
Any other comments?
So the only thing that I'd say is that I'm going to suggest that we go ahead and pay for the cab when it arrives, so that we don't have to worry about a price change, 24 to 30 months from now. In the past, we've paid generally for the whole ambulance up front. The last one we received, we paid for and got a discount, or upfront discount. We looked at the same thing on this, but the amount that they offered for the pay upfront discount, we probably are, maybe 0.5% ahead, keeping the cash in the bank. So in the past, we would have paid for the whole thing anyway at the time of order. And we're going to pay for the balance of this when it arrives, when it's finished. Okay, so out of that $356,382, we would pay the $97,675 when it comes in, when it's delivered, and then we would still owe the balance of the other three items: the ambulance itself, the lettering, and flow meters.
I have one question.
Sure.
That's for legal counsel. Does he need to amend the motion to reflect that?
I don't believe there's anything in the quotation you're approving that commits to when you're making payment. So I think it's an administrative matter once the quotation's approved for your staff to remit payment and demonstrate that to you on your report of bills. So I don't think it has to be voted upon to be done.
Okay.
It would be different if we're contractually committing and there isn't a long-form contract that you're approving.
That's the only question I have.
I have a question for Randy.
Sure.
This is a 2024 truck. What increases did you see in the cost of those trucks percentage-wise over the last few years per year?
$10,000
But per year?
per year.
Okay, so if
We've got, they just got the pricing for 2025 model year, which will start building in February 2024. And it was like $7,800 pricing surcharge and 2750 model year escalator. So it's $9,990.
It just seems to me to pay for this 2 years in advance, it keeps our dealership whole, and we probably actually save money rather than waiting to order it later for the application.
Make one more comment. That truck, when you pay for it, the warranty will not start until you actually take possession of the truck. It will be listed as at the body builder for the whole time, so your warranty starts the day it gets the warranty.
And the one thing that we'll check on is, I would assume from Foster, we'll still get some partial credit cash discount for having paid upfront. But we'll double check on that before we remit.
Correct.
That would be my question is, if we are gonna pay, which I think sounds great, pay upfront, what do we get?
Right.
Some credit for that, that,
Right. We'll double check on that.
Well, it sounds like the quote has that verbiage in it, that we need to do that anyway, from what he spoke of, so.
I think what he was referring to is we asked for any discounts that might be available when they quoted it, or when they quoted it. So that was something that we produced. We also asked them specifically to come to our Morton Freightliner and place that for bid so that they have an opportunity to add that. But the quote that we received itself did not include that as being an option. I don't know that they'll have a problem with that, but it didn't include that as an option.
right, basically sounds like between their quote through Foster to us, that, by what I understand, is that was a little bit lost in
Yeah,
their
that's kind of
bid.
lost in the communication, because I looked at yours and you asked for the chassis up front, or at the time of delivery and stuff, and I told Foster I did. But when I talked to Andrew Foster today, he said, Foster will not pay me, but he said, the village will pay, they'll take it off the price of the total. So he was, I think he would want the village to go ahead and pay truck centers and just leave them out of that. Okay. And that is the price I quoted Foster at
675.
675, so they did not mark that price higher. Or, that, you know, the same thing they go to the same price that we do. And that's the way most buyers are, if you try to make anything off the chassis, they just put the chassis cost and put it in. And just for everybody. with
So
the-
Randy, can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Chief Kelly, would we still want Foster to be the one to pay them? The only reason I ask is there some type of warranty or whatever, because once they attach the body, should it not be attached to the vehicle they bought?
I would say that I don't know the legal ramifications of all of that, is that our contract is with Foster Coach Sales.
Right.
So I don't know if there's any issue with paying someone else for some portion of that or not.
So we'll check on that as well.
I have done this with Tazewell County Highway Department.
Sure.
And City Beacon, Peoria County Highway Department. We know this stuff started getting so far out. All the bids now used to be for completed trucks. Now they're bidding chassis and equipment separate. And Morton Village, or Morton Township, I won the bid there just for the chassis, and then he bids me that bids for the body and the bottom.
Right.
And Linco and a couple others.
Right.
So that's the way this municipal stuff is being going, because of these all lead times. Because dealers don't know how much floor plan they put it in, it's really makes the price of the truck go up.
So when's the warranty period start?
The day you take possession of it here. when Foster brings it to you, and we take the mileage, whatever it is at the time, and your warranty starts on that day at that mileage. So if it has 700 miles on it, when it gets there, and the warranty is still 24,000 miles or whatever, you've got 24,700. And it's a 2-year warranty, and then this had a 5-year engine warranty too, so that 5-year engine warranty, so might as well start there, and the date, if it's 2 years from now, stuff like that.
All right, thank you, Randy. Everybody clear?
As mud.
Okay. Let's call the roll.
Mennel?
Yes.
Parrot?
Yes.
Let's go Blunier.
Yes.
Leach?
Yes.
Hilliard?
Yes.
Motion carries.
My third item is a resolution which, it's resolution number 0724, which re-enters us into an intergovernmental agreement with the mutual aid box alarm system. We are currently members of that, as is every other department in Tazewell County. The organization made some technical adjustments to its governing document, and this adopts those changes.
All right, if we could have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions for the chief? If not, call the roll.
Blunier?
Yes.
Hilliard?
Yes.
Leach?
Yes.
Mennel?
Yes.
Parrot? Yes. Motion carries.
And my third and final item, sir, is the resolution number 0824, which is a side letter agreement with the paramedic union, which changes the area in which they can live to 50 miles, I believe. I believe the board discussed this at some previous point, and we're just trying to get it finalized.
If we could have a motion.
Move we approve resolution 0824.
Second.
And this is your fourth item, sir.
Yeah.
Any questions for the chief?
Yes, sir. I'd just like you to explain the rationale behind it. It's a significant increase because it's currently at 20.
Sure. We have had trouble finding people over the last few years, and one of the sticking points sometimes is that people don't live in Morton and have a residence somewhere else and don't want to leave that residence. So we have had people in the past who have not accepted jobs for that reason. So this was a relatively simple measure to increase that area and hopefully attract more applicants.
And I'm not sure if you all remember, but we actually talked about this last fall when we were doing the side letter agreement for the health insurance plan that the village took on December 1st. So we had talked about it, we just hadn't finished the paperwork to get to them. So that's all this is, really.
And it also doesn't reduce the amount of, or increase the amount of time they have to respond.
Right.
They're still, I don't remember what is it 1
2
hour
hours.
that they have?
Yeah, it
So-
depends on the situation, but yes, correct.
Just to expand on what the chief talked about, and I think we're all aware of that, it's not unique to the Morton Fire Department or Morton paramedics, or just the fire and medics as well, with the law enforcement too. All the first responders are having difficulty, and we've seen that over the last 10, 15 years, individuals not being necessarily interested in getting into that work. And I know area fire departments are looking at different options to try to attract personnel to get them, maybe not sort of a recruitment, but to attract them to us and become more attractive to them, and as opposed to just going out and trying to promote and trying to recruit, doing something to make us more attractive than East Peoria or Peoria, for example. So kudos to you for something.
All right, nothing else? No questions? Let's call the roll.
Leach?
Yes.
Mennel?
Yes.
Parrot?
Yes.
Blunier?
Yes.
Hilliard? Yes. Motion carries.
Anything else, Chief?
That's plenty. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Director of Public Works.
One item tonight, Your Honor, I'd like to ask for approval of the resolution authorizing a local match to federal proposal.
We could have a motion.
All right, just real quick, we submitted an application through PUATS to receive federal TAP funding for the proposed 10-foot wide multi-use trail on the west side of Detroit Avenue from Birchwood to the north to connect to the existing one. Our estimate is $843,758, and we submitted for the full amount of $675,000. So this would go along with our overlay of Detroit next year in '24. So this resolution in front of you tonight is just part of the application process that they like to see that you're committed. If they give us funds, that we will participate. It may be we get even less than the 675. So I'm asking, that we would at least match, that funding that we would receive from them.
Okay. Any questions? Call the roll.
Hilliard.
Yes.
Parrot. Yes. Mennel.
Yes.
Blunier.
Yes.
Leach.
Yes.
Motion carries.
That's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Okay. Zoning and Code Enforcement Officer.
I have 3 items tonight, Your Honor. The first item tonight is an ordinance making amendments to Section 10-10-2 of the Morton Municipal Code regarding zoning certificates of occupancy.
If we could have a motion.
So moved. Second.
Could you explain, Brett?
This zoning amendment was actually, we tabled this, I think, a couple meetings ago, and Pat did a little alteration on it. The zoning amendment really addresses the intent of the zoning permit and the process on how to obtain a zoning permit. The goal is to help business owners identify their intended use in accordance with the current zoning of the property or land. Pat, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
A few points. In general terms, the concept would envision individuals before they take possession of a unit obtaining a zoning permit for confirmation that what they plan to use the property for is a permitted use. The intent being that the permitting process would provide a point of interdiction before someone set up and operating to make them aware that there's an issue of conflict between their present use, their intended use and the zoning for the property.
Okay. If we could have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? If not, call the roll.
Blunier.
Yes.
Hilliard.
Yes.
Leach.
Yes.
Parrot. Mennel.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Second item tonight, Your Honor, is petition number 23-04ZA.
We could have a motion.
So moved. I second.
Okay. You want to explain, Brad?
This is a rezoning petition for 121 West Ashland Street. If you recall, this is a parcel that was created by the re-subdivision of the Jeff Green Memorial subdivision, and that plat was brought to you last month and it was approved. The zoning currently is I2. We are requesting that it be rezoned to B3. The Plan Commission did give a favorable recommendation on this, and I did include the transcripts and minutes in your packets. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Anyone with any questions for Brad? If not, call the roll.
Parrot. Yes. Blunier.
Yes.
Hilliard.
Yes.
Mennel.
Yes.
Leach.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The third item tonight, Your Honor, is an ordinance making amendments to Title 10-10-4 of the Morton Municipal Code regarding resubmittal of denied requests for zoning relief.
If we could have a motion.
So moved. Second.
You would explain a little, Brad?
Yes, this zoning amendment, it sets a time frame on when any kind of zoning relief application could be resubmitted if the same application had been denied previously. The original proposal was for 18 months. Through discussion at the Plan Commission, the Plan Commission gave a recommendation of 12 months for this. I did provide those transcripts if you had a chance to read through those for the conversation.
Thank you. Any questions for the board?
clarification, if I may, the copy of the ordinance that's in the packet, and ultimately what the motion was made on, is what the Plan Commission held a hearing on, which is the 18-month provision. If you desired to change that to a different period, such as a 12-month period, the Plan Commission recommended we need a motion and a second to amend the action, amend the ordinance to that 12-month period, and then you vote on that before acting on the ordinance.
So the motion we have is for 18 months?
Correct.
Okay.
So now, currently, there is not a time limit.
Currently, our code does not have any time frame.
Has there been an issue with people being denied
I-
and right back?
Well, I've had inquiries, so there's always conversation. Typically, I like to explain the process and try to reason. In other words, I try to make them understand that coming back with the same application may not be beneficial for them. I try to give them all aspects of the positives and negatives. So we've not had anybody re-petition, but there's always conversation. And it seems like the first question is, can I come back and re-petition? Or how long does it, when can I do that? So it'd be nice if we had something in our code that, gave them a direction.
You kind of get your ducks in a row, kind of the first pass and make it.
Yes. And the amendment does say if there is, you just can't bring back the same one. If there's changes, then they can bring it right back. If there's changes in the petition or proposal, they can come back the very next month. But if you're bringing the same thing back, then this says you can't do that for the 18 months.
So the hope is they could persuade you to change your vote. I mean, that's usually the conversation we're having with them. Like, well, you heard what one of the 7 said. What's different?
And I think one of the concerns that the commission had in regards to 18 months, where they viewed it at 12 months, is that at that time, Mr. Marks was only familiar with Tazewell County having something, and theirs was 6 months. But there was also discussion, if there's not been any substantial change or amendments to what they were requesting, why bring it at all? Or why allow it at all? So that was some remarks made by some commissioners as well. Did you have contact with any other local?
I did. I reached out to East Peoria and Washington. Both of them do not have a time frame in their codes, but they both were very strong and adamant there with our conversation. They're like, Brad, if somebody comes in and it's denied and they come back and we've had this, I have the conversation. Basically, you try to reason with them and explain to them that this is, why would somebody change their votes? Why would things change if you're not bringing back something different? So they highly discourage that. I felt like they liked the idea of having a time frame, but I guess it just stops you from having to have that kind of conversation as well. And I think it's very simple. If the petition changes, then they're welcome to come back and petition again. But if it doesn't change, then it just seems a little redundant.
What level of change, I guess, it would be required? Does it have to be a completely different, ask, or is it just like, oh, hey, here's some new information that we have?
The wording used in the ordinance is substantially different. Zoning amendment, variance, or special use request, because of the broad kind of cross-section of different types of requests that come before the Plan Commission or the ZBA. It's impossible to say with absolute certainty it's got to be 10% different if it's a setback. So we use terminology that affords an appropriate amount of discretion to your zoning and code enforcement officer to apply in a given circumstance. I think, there's certainly the possibility presented that a request may fall near the line, but the code wording is substantially different. The expectation that Brad had managed that on a day-to-day basis.
Any other questions?
No, I just, one more comment, and you may or may not have read it in the minutes from the planning commission, but one of the things that I addressed to them is this sort of came before us after the battery storage came, that Mr. Frost had contacted Mr. Marks shortly after we had denied it and wanted to know how soon he could come back, when he could come again. And Marks said that, well, let me look into that. And that's when he said, well, we don't seem to have anything limited any time. Maybe we should. And so that's how this came about.
There's a lot of time and money and effort spent to, like, when the battery storage, when it got to this point. I can't even imagine the amount of hours and money that people had spent to get it to that point. And to have that process come back again, I think that's somewhat, I mean, it's not fair to certain people to use that kind of resources if it's the same thing, in my opinion. So that's kind of where we stood on that, and that's kind of how I explained it to Mr. Frost.
And we've had more meetings with Mr. Frost in the last week. So any other concerns, questions? It's currently at 18 months unless somebody makes a different motion. So I'll give you a minute, 30 seconds. If not, let's call the roll.
Ready?
Yep.
All right. Leach?
Yes.
Hilliard?
Yes.
Blunier? Yes. Mennel?
Yes.
Parrot? Motion carries.
That's all I had tonight, Your Honor.
Okay. Trustees, do any of you have anything tonight?
Just a motion to adjourn.
So moved. So if we get not, let's have a motion to adjourn.
I think you
But I did it.
Okay, motion second?
Yeah.
All those say aye?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.